Okay. All righty. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's live Odoo webinar. Good as always to have you with us. The time is now 11 a.m. on this foggy summer morning in San Francisco. And today we'll be talking about strategies for implementing Odoo Online. My name is Todd Farnham, digital marketer here at Odoo San Francisco, and I'll be hosting today's session, which will be presented by my colleague, Sebastian.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going? Now, before we begin, I just want to go over a few procedural items for those unfamiliar with the format. Today's presentation will take about 40 minutes, which will leave us about 20 minutes for a Q&A session at the end. Throughout Sebastian's presentation, I will be answering your questions in the chat box to the right of the video, so keep your questions coming throughout the presentation, and we'll do our best to answer them there. We will also hold on to questions so we can go over them together in more detail during the Q&A after the presentation. And also know that today's session is being recorded, so including the Q&A. So you can review it at any time by revisiting this page's URL. This is the same as the access link that you received by email when you signed up for the webinar. And if you got here by other means, just copy the URL of this page, and it's good for always. Now, if you're interested in future webinars, subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on what we broadcast. We broadcast several times a week on a variety of topics. Also, if you're interested in using Odoo and would like to receive a personalized demo, you can book a meeting directly in Sebastian's calendar by visiting the link in the video description below. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sebastian.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Everyone, thank you for joining us today. One of our many webinars. We've now got a nice setup here where we bring you these live webinars weekly, bi-weekly basis. I will be presenting today strategies for a successful implementation of Odoo Online. Here at Odoo, I am a business advisor, so my day-to-day job is helping people determine if Odoo is going to work or not, talking to them about implementation, and really going through the value of Odoo as a system for the small to medium-sized business. So as Todd said, I have my email presented right here. If you have any questions after this, you can reach me there. Also, feel free to book a meeting with me. We have a link here for directly to my calendar. We can book some time, and any questions you have in particular about getting started with the system or simply the implementation process, please let me know. So let's jump into it, Todd. Let's do it. So we'll start off with a quick introduction of what we'll be looking at today. A couple sections, but we will keep it simple. First off, we'll start off with, who is Odoo Online for? What is our target audience, and who is Odoo going to be right for? Number two, we'll jump into the quick start methodology, success packs, really going into how Odoo approaches implementation, how we approach consulting, and what that will look like for you. Number three, how to successfully implement Odoo Online. At this point, we'll take a look at some of the best practices for clients, for business owners, and yourself to approach this and really get the most out of the Odoo implementation. Finally, we'll take a look at results, what Odoo does for companies, what we've been doing so far, and again, what you can expect out of this process for implementation. Finally, Todd and I will open this up to a quick question and answer session. This, like Todd said, should be about 30 minutes long. If we have plenty of time after that, we can definitely open up for a while after that. Now, section one, who is Odoo Online for? This is, in short answer, for the small to medium-sized business. Odoo is flexible, and we're catering to a type of value here that allows you to grow with the system, start out slowly, phase in, whatever you prefer. So when we look at the pricing, we are really adding users on the fly, adding apps on the fly, and there's no commitment to how quickly you need to start and what kind of payment you need to submit to actually get started and put your business on Odoo. Same goes for the apps. So we have a lot of independent apps. A lot of them work together as well. So if you want to start out perhaps managing sales, perhaps later integrating inventory, and finally having a full accounting and HR system on Odoo, we grow with you. Our apps are modular in that sense, and so they are designed for that kind of implementation. Finally, the layout of Odoo is going to be really user-friendly. We've designed it in a way that's quickly to be trained on, A lot of our clients, most of them actually, become familiar with the system before they even speak to a consultant because it's easy to use. It's actually fun. It's a lot like an iOS dashboard in that sense. You jump into the apps and you can really get on board pretty quickly. Finally, implementation. Our implementation will talk in particular about the quick start process, what that entails. Obviously there, it's our goal is to be as fast and really work with you throughout the process depending on your goals. All right, so let's jump over here. As you can see also, small to medium-sized business does indicate anywhere from one user. We've got some mom and pop shops. We've got the one-man shows all the way through to 50, 60 users or more. It's really flexible. Number 2, so success packs, what are they? What is the quick start methodology? It is based around Odoo's goal for implementation. It's to get you to production as quickly as possible, or really based around your goals. Is that a budgetary constraint? Is that a time constraint? That's something that Odoo has a few different ways to approach, a few different ways to help you out with. We'll start with the options for Success Pack for implementation. As you can see at the top, we have the recommended Success Packs. This will be for our clients that want to work closely with a consultant. This will be one of your best resources, if not your best, working with them, training, importing of data, and we will look at the details that your consulting can offer you. Finally, smaller Success Pack is going to be a little more hands-on. You'll be doing a lot of the setup. You'll always have your consultant there, to walk you through something, to train you on a particular system, to help you set up an import template. And finally, self-implementation. Odoo offers a lot of resources online that will be at your disposal. And if you are looking for perhaps Odoo for a smaller business, Odoo perhaps simpler right now, starting out maybe just sales, maybe just inventory and eventually growing, well, you can start out yourself. The resources are there for you. A few different options there. Now, let's actually look at some of the details here. So what the Success Pack means, these are hours that you spend with your consultant. Those hours go to a variety of information, analysis, configuration, data import. These hours can really go to any task involving implementation, and your consultant will always be available by phone for you to go over these tasks. Now, like we discussed before, depending on the size of your pack means how, first of all, involved your consultant will be with you, how hands-on they'll be and how hands-on you will be, and also the complexity of your implementation and the size of the project. So if we're looking at a smaller company, perhaps fewer apps, fewer users, and not so much data import, the basic or standard size Success Pack may be more than enough. Of course, for the custom or pro, we're looking at larger companies, perhaps a manufacturing setup. But really, like we said before, has to do with how involved you want to be. Smaller companies can get the 100 hours. You've got that consultant with you at all times. Those hours don't expire. And down the road, a year, 2, 5 years, they'll be there for you to help you train on new applications, new updates in the system. Let's move on here. Taking a look at the Success Pack Quick Start methodology. What does it mean on a day-to-day basis with your consultant? How will they approach the consulting process and implementation? And what can you contribute to that, and how can you really determine how that's going to go? So first off, we'll say typically we're looking at 2 meetings a week with your consultant. Those involve everything that we looked at on the last page, everything from analysis, importing of data, configuration. Off the bat, you'll probably be looking at a lot of discussion about your current business processes and how those will best be handled in Odoo. Like we've said, it's really an opportunity here to change your business processes, take a look at how Odoo can make those more efficient, and perhaps remove some of those cumbersome flows that you're dealing with right now, and be able to really streamline that, in a system like Odoo. So your consultant will discuss all of this with you, and then they'll typically implement progressively in phases. So we start with phase one. We start at the beginning of the business flow, right? You're dealing with clients, so onboarding your point of sale, your different sales channels, perhaps your website. Once we have that information configured, you can actually start to use that progressively as the continuation of the implementation moves into inventory, MRP, accounting. So phase two will be looking at really the center of the platform for you, how you handle your products, where they come in and out, how you manufacture them and procure them. And finally, accounting. After all of this is done, that's when we look at customizations, support, studio, for example, because we do find often that customization won't be necessary. 80% of our clients, if not more right now, I believe, use Odoo right out of the box. That's because, like we discussed, it's a flexible platform and it's designed for different industries. You can really configure it to the kind of sales process you're used to, the inventory setup that you have, perhaps the multi-route, multi-work order manufacturing system that you have. Once we have all of that set up, then if there is still something missing, perhaps some very specific functionality you need, we will undergo the customization process. We work with our technical team here. Your consultant helps you determine exactly what that change will be to the system, and then we can move forward with that. It is a process we do quite often. But like we said, typically our clients see by the end, it really isn't necessary. And of course, this lends itself to a quicker implementation and a cheaper one as well. Studio is going to be one of our newest tools for customization. Studio is a good tool for adding fields, for adding menus and changing some of the user interface, also adding automated actions. This too is something that your consultant can train you on. You can actually make these changes yourself, but they'll make sure you're familiar with the process and that we've implemented the rest of the system first before we get going there. But as you can see by the arrow on the right, support, Odoo does have a large level of support at this point. We will talk about those specific resources, but it is important to know we have online support 24/5 for tickets, any sort of functional or technical issues you're having, in addition to a support line in our office here in San Francisco. In California, we have, during business hours, a support team ready to answer any functional questions you might have as you are setting up your platform or using it on a day-to-day basis. Now, moving into section 3 here, what is a successful way for a client, for a business owner, to implement Odoo? We've talked about the quick start process from our end. We've been looking at how the consultant will approach implementation, some of the best practices for phasing in a system and what apps to begin with. Now, what is important to keep in mind from the side of the client, from your side? Well, first off, and we can't stress this enough, is having one main point of contact in your company. Of course, our consultant's entire view of your company is projected through this point of contact, so it's important that they're very familiar with the business processes. It's also important that they have authority within the company. Of course, it can slow down implementation if the point of contact needs to always run back to other department heads to determine exactly how something functions, if they can say go ahead to a particular business process or flow that we're setting up in Odoo. Finally, having some congruence within the company is going to be important, making sure everyone's on the same page so that we don't have issues with departments, so that, for example, myself as a business advisor, if I reach out to your accounting department and then reach out to your sales department, if people aren't on the same page, we're going to have some slowdowns. And so, of course, having that point of contact who can bring everything together, make those decisions, and is familiar with your business is going to be very important to moving quickly and achieving your goals in implementation as soon as we can. Finally, do it the Odoo way. There are a lot of Odoo ways, but in particular, we encourage you not really to replicate your previous software or system. In a lot of cases, you have been working with a system for the past 10 years. You might use multiple systems, and you might be very familiar with the way that they handle invoices, sales, and different stages for an opportunity, for example. It's important to note that just because you're familiar doesn't mean it's the most efficient system. We can often look at how we're going to handle that in Odoo. And actually, since the platform is integrated, working with inventory, sales, accounting together, we can probably find a better, more integrated way to handle a specific process. That's going to be really the best way to approach it is with an open mind. Finally, and this kind of speaks to the same point, is integrating 90% of your business, not 100%. Odoo is a large software system. It is fully integrated and does have apps for almost every part of your business. However, it can be unrealistic to expect everything in your business to be on Odoo, and more than anything, can turn out to be expensive. One of our examples is going to be payroll. Payroll is something that would be handled in accounting and is sometimes very easily handled elsewhere using a program like ADP, simply doing one invoice, one journal entry a month, and then avoiding that headache in the system and keeping, we'll say, Odoo clean from the payroll headache. So, moving on here. Other notes to make, and I have spoken a little bit about this already, but custom development. It is always an option. We do have a development team around the globe. Really, we have one right here in San Francisco. We also have Belgium. We have offices in India and Hong Kong as well. So these teams will be able to help you customize the platform, and sometimes we do make small changes, adding fields, adding menu items, and adding links throughout the system. But typically, like we said, it should work for you. Odoo is flexible, and so we recommend we wait till the end, fully implement, and then if anything's missing, we can take a look at a customization. For the sake of the quick start, we like to leave that for last. Staying simple. So a fresh start, just because you're on older systems, doesn't mean we have to imitate that exactly. Let's take a look at Odoo. Take a moment to learn the system. Duplicate your database. Play around with it. See what happens. It is very quick to learn the system pretty well, become familiar with it, and we find that once a client is used to using the system and knows how it functions, they find that it makes a lot of sense the way the apps work together and the way we have things set up. Something that speaks to the speed of implementation and also the simplicity is going to be how much data you import. Of course, we expect that almost everyone will be importing data about their products, data about their customers, and a lot of other data. Just about every type of data in Odoo can be imported. Now, does it need to be imported is going to be a separate question, and this is going to help you prioritize the kind of information you bring into Odoo. Do you need to bring in an invoice from 3 years ago for a specific customer? Probably not. It is, of course, important to have that on hand. We often recommend you hold on to that in a zip file, something similar. So in the rare case you need to visit it, you need to find some information off of it, you have it at your disposal. However, this is the kind of data that would take a while to bring into Odoo, definitely needs some formatting, and we'll just slow down the process for you, especially for something that's not necessary. Let's now look at some of the resources Odoo has for us. We early on talked about the different forms of implementation. Obviously, our quick start and our success packs are associated with our consultants. That is the best way to implement a business, especially if you're looking for some consulting, some thoughts and training on Odoo, some configuration help, and of course a resource down the road, because your consultant is someone that is matched with you and stays with you throughout your time at Odoo, throughout your time using those success pack hours. Now, in the case that you're open to a challenge, that you're looking to start a small business, Odoo does have the resources to help you get started on your own. We have an extensive online documentation. This documentation is a full instruction manual on how to set up the different modules. As you can see on the right, everything from accounting, CRM, sales. There is going to be a specific page just on those modules, on how to set it up, how to create new pages, and how to move forward and take advantage of that integration. The e-learning platform, one of our newest additions to our repertoire of resources here, is going to be an extensive documentation of videos. We've got small videos and larger ones simply focusing on particular business flows, how to set things up, and how different applications work together. This comes included with a success pack. So this is something that you might get started on your own time, being up to speed on the different applications, how we use them, and how you can become more familiar with the system even before you work with your consultant. Finally, webinars just like this one. They're all posted online. This one in particular, we're looking at implementation, but we have many others that focus on particular applications, particular businesses. I know that next week we have an inventory management one. Last week or recently we had retail management. So really those are also going to be resources, and they are presented by people like me, people like Todd. We are familiar with the software, I'd venture to say experts almost, and we handle and deal with businesses and clients every day. So we know what you guys are looking for. Finally, practice. Practice makes perfect. We can use a demo database. You can start free trials. You can also duplicate your own database. These are tools that will help you, again, kind of learn by your mistakes, practice the different flows. And how does this all turn out? Well, here are the results. Here are the statistics for Odoo. It really comes down to our goal, having a fast and affordable implementation that a company can grow with. You'll see that our average time for implementation is 3 to 6 months. Keep in mind that is with a large company working with a success pack. We have a lot of clients that get started on the smaller end using just some of the resources at hand. 6 apps, 70 hours, and everything in between. Finally, implementation projects. We're looking at 50 or more a month at this point. Odoo is steadily growing. We have our office here in San Francisco with Spanish-speaking and English-speaking consultants. We also have our headquarters in Belgium, in addition to offices now in Hong Kong and India. We'll take a look at the last statistic quickly. 92.5% success rate. This is a very telling number, I think, for our consultants. They are super helpful people. They sit right across from me in the office, and I encourage you to all have a conversation with them. Todd, I think that is it for my presentation for now. I will hand this over to questions.
Okay, cool. So you guys just be sure to enter any of the questions that you have into the chat box. But I'll start with some questions that I had thought about. You'd mentioned that there's a lot of different success packs, but do you have like a typical time for implementation typically?
Yeah, I'd say the most used packs are between the 50 to 100 hour pack. They really cover a lot of ground, and they're probably the packs that are most flexible. We talked about how some people use a hands-on approach. Others will really rely on their consultant to help them configure and import data. If you're a larger company, a 100-hour pack should work fine. You want to make sure you have a good point of contact. They're familiar with the system and they know how to use it, and things will work well for them. In addition to a smaller company looking for a consultant help all the time, we're looking at 100 hours being more than enough. And like I said, 3 to 6 months is the statistic we have here. However, it really depends on the size of your project, how many users, and what apps you're using at the time.
All right, cool. And we've got a question from Tim Anderson. So this was in reference to how to successfully implement Odoo Online. He said, how much of these recommendations are applicable for self-hosted?
Well, unfortunately for self-hosted, we do not offer implementation services. So there are plenty of resources online. It really depends on what self-hosting you're talking about. We have, of course, the Enterprise Edition, which is typically helped through our partners. We have a large list of certified partners, which will help you implement and provide similar service Absolutely, with consulting hours and customizations, everything that's necessary. Now, for our community version, our open source system, it is a very large online community of users. However, they do not have, unfortunately, access to the kind of consulting and quick start methodology that we have implemented for the online solution.
Perfect. And another question from Fire Sprint Printing. Can hours be purchased as needed, or do they always have to be purchased in packs?
They are always purchased in packs. We do encourage them to be purchased up front. The reason is that that'll give typically your consultant a good idea of how much time you want to spend on this and how quickly you want to move through this project. In some cases, of course, an ERP implementation can be not all planned out. Sometimes we have to buy an additional pack, 25, 50 hours, especially as the business grows, as it integrates its HR or inventory, for example. And in those cases, we can purchase another pack. But like I said, in order to have a quick implementation, have your consultant know your goals for the speed of implementation, we do encourage to buy that pack up front.
Okay, awesome. Looks like we don't have a ton more questions. I guess here's one. What does the process look like for deciding the right success pack? Like how do you decide what's involved?
That is a conversation you'll be having with me or one of my colleagues. Like I said, as a business advisor, I do speak to a lot of people about their companies. It really depends a lot on your business processes, how complex it is. Todd, a lot of people have different types of businesses. They're involved in different industries. Manufacturing, for one, there's going to be a lot more configuration, a lot more training for manufacturing, so we will typically encourage a larger pack size for that. It also depends on someone's familiarity with Odoo and how much they're prepared to spend on the system, whether that means training themselves on it or simply helping in the import process for customers or products.
Cool. Well, great answer. I just also want to mention, if you guys hopped in on this a little bit late, you can view this webinar at any time. Just follow the link above. The URL is permanent, so it still works. And you guys can subscribe to our YouTube channel to have access to more updates on additional free content as well. Let me see if there are any more questions. What's the difference between consulting and custom development, from Mark Bold?
Oh, absolutely. So consulting is actually the process of getting your business onto Odoo. So training you guys, making sure your company is familiar with the different applications you're using, moving your current data, whether that be products, customers, onto Odoo, and then configuring the system, like I said, an integrated multi-app system, setting that up for your particular business processes. This is done with your consultant and your point of contact, typically 2 meetings a week, but a lot of communication in between. And actual custom development will be, once that process is done, are we missing anything, any capabilities that the software is going to require to handle something in your business, something that you look at on a day-to-day basis. At that point, if something's missing, we would look at custom development. It's still done through your consultant. They work with you to determine exactly the kind of change we need to make, and they then relay that information over to our development team, who can produce a quotation for us and get that implemented into your system.
Cool. And Mark had a follow-up question. Is there a pricing guide for custom development?
Yes. It is pretty simple. It is online, like all of our pricing, but it is typically just a cost per hour. They come right out of your consulting hours, so you buy an 100-hour pack. You need an 8 hours of development for a particular project. Those 8 hours come out from that pack, and then tack on a $5 per hour cost to your monthly subscription. That is, of course, for maintenance as the system's updated, as the system changes over time.
Okay, perfect. Let me see. Yeah, I guess Fire Sprint Printing had another one. Can you speak a bit to your network and keeping Odoo Online running?
Absolutely. Well, first off, we'll speak to the company, Odoo itself. We've been around now for over a decade, I think closer to 15 years. And we started out in Belgium, and we continue to grow. So there aren't too many doubts that I think we'll be here in the future. We also have a very good service for hosting. We have a service level agreement. You are guaranteed to have access to your system and a functioning system 99.9% of the time. In addition to that, we have backups and stringent security for your database.
Perfect. Let's just hang on for a sec. See if there are any more questions. I mean, are there any other major things that you think are necessary that you might want to add at the end here?
I think we took a good look at it, but if I had to summarize, I'd probably say, that goal that we spoke about. Odoo's goal is to get you a fast and affordable implementation that's in line with your goals, in line with your priorities, and that is going to change from client to client. We offer the success pack as a software company. We are not a service company, but of course we know that in a lot of cases, it's going to be very helpful to have an Odoo expert help you bring that information in, train you on it, and so forth. So whether you are looking to mostly implement yourself, whether you're going to rely on your consultant a lot, whether your priority is to move quickly and get on the system as soon as possible, or slowly phase in how much you use Odoo over time, our consultants and our resources at hand, like those online resources, are going to cater to that for you. They'll be there for you.
Perfect. Well, I think this was a little bit of a shorter one today. I don't think we have any more to add. No more questions coming on in here. I think it's pretty straightforward. So, I just want to say if you guys do have any additional questions, you can send those questions to events@odoo.com, and we'll be able to reach out to those individually. And as I'd mentioned, Sebastian's link is in the description here. So if you want to get a customized personal demo from him, you can visit that there. And it seems like that's all the questions. Let's just see if any more. Who is Odoo Online better for compared to Odoo Enterprise? I think that's our final question from Rachel Butler.
Sure, that's not a bad question. So Odoo Enterprise, Odoo Online are going to be pretty different. Now, on a software perspective, they look very similar. It's typically the same system. There are updates in between, but most of the time, they're about the same thing. Now, whether you should host on Enterprise or host online is up to the resources you also already have, in addition to the kind of changes you're looking to make on the system. Odoo Online, like we said, prioritizes your quick start. You're going to be working out of the box as much as you can. It's going to work most of the time. And it's hosted all on our servers. We don't require you to have any local servers. And for that matter, we see a quicker implementation. Now, when we look at Enterprise, we're looking at a system where you have your own servers. So sometimes people with other software on servers will use those. However, it's important to note that you do need to maintain those. You do need to have service done to those, and of course, bug fixes and the such. Now, people that do look for heavy customization will often go the Enterprise route.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Well, I just want to say thank you guys all for joining us today. We wouldn't be here without our community. Now, if you got here late, just know that the presentation was recorded and you can review it at any time by visiting this URL. And if you've signed up for the webinar on our website, this is the access link you received by email. And if you got here by other means, like I said, this URL still works. Just make sure that you guys subscribe if you want additional free content from Odoo, some more webinars. We update them weekly, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, plus additional broadcasts on a more flexible schedule moving forward. And on the subject of topics, we're always looking for new ones. If you have a subject that you would like us to talk about, please just let us know by sending an email to events@odoo.com or just dropping your idea in the chat box. And lastly, if you would like a personalized demo of Odoo, as mentioned before, you can book a meeting directly in Sebastian's calendar by visiting odoo.com/r/ what was it?
Demo-SHALEY.
Perfect. And it's typed out in the description.
Yeah,
as well.
you don't need to memorize that now.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, you guys, again, thanks so much for everything. Have a lovely afternoon and hope to see you again soon.
All right.